Today we're going to talk about plants that are safe for bearded dragons. Bearded dragons eat plants, so we need to make sure that these plants aren't harmfully toxic to our dragons and that these plants can withstand the conditions of our bearded dragons' terrariums. The easiest plants to keep are air plants of the genus Tillandsia. These plants are epiphytes, and what that means is they don't need soil to survive. In the wild, they'll actually root themselves to the branches of trees. To take care of these plants, you simply only have to spray them every other day, or you can fully dunk them and soak them in water once a week. There is a massive variety of air plants out there, and they're great for those of us that aren't that great with keeping plants alive. Now, there are many dry grasses in the wild habitats of bearded dragons. For those of you that are going for that wild look, Carex grasses are the perfect choice for that. These aren't actually true grasses, they're grass-like plants called sedges. You can leave these plants potted or try and grow them in really deep substrates in the terrarium itself. Now, they do like to be watered regularly, and some of them do prefer moist soils, so that depth in substrate that locks in moisture beneath is absolutely essential. Even if you do kill them, they look great dead. This Carex grass has been dead for years now and I'm still using it. Snake plants or mother's tongue are a great choice. Here's one right behind me in my ball python's tank. It's an arid plant that's actually quite resistant to trampling as well as nibbling on it, and it does well in a hot, dry terrarium. They're also incredibly hard to kill off. The rule of thumb is if I'm doing well with it, you're probably going to as well. A lot of our commonly used herbs like parsley, oregano, cilantro, mint, and even cress can be used in a bearded dragon's terrarium. You can sow seeds straight into the terrarium, or you can go and buy adult plants. If you do have those nice deep soils that lock in the moisture beneath, you're going to have a great time sowing. I'd recommend spraying the substrate just on the surface for that cress or those seedlings to sprout. Otherwise, you can use potted plants, grow them outside of the terrarium, and then rotate them into the enclosure for the enrichment of your bearded dragon. You'll find that bearded dragons will nibble and eat these plants whilst they're still new and novel, but as time goes on and they get bored of that plant, then they'll stop eating it, and then that plant will get that breeding space to settle in and grow. Not only are weeds fantastic to include in the diet of your bearded dragon, but you can actually grow them in the enclosure as well. With enough space away from heat, a good amount of light, and deep soils, they can do just fine. A lot of species like dandelion, thistle, or plantain enjoy much cooler air temperatures in their native ranges from outside. So in the terrarium, when the air temperature is quite warm, they can get baked and dry out and dehydrate. You can have planters in the garden growing these weeds that you can pluck from and rotate them in if you want to. But these weeds are free, so why not just give it a go? Succulents and cacti are what you think of straight away when you think of creating a planted arid terrarium. And thankfully, there's a lot of those to choose from. Most famously, we have plants like aloe vera here that is really easy to grow and propagate. However, if your bearded dragons do eat a lot of it, the high water content can cause a little bit of loose stool. But like I say, after it stops being novel, bearded dragons tend just to eat less of it, and it becomes less of a problem. Other succulent plants such as agave, elephant bush, jade plants, Haworthia and Echeveria are great arid plants. These prefer well-draining soils and high light and are very heat tolerant, so the area around your basking spot might be a good spot for these succulents. And these plants require watering infrequently compared to the other plants on this list. Opuntia or prickly pear cactus are a great option for cacti in the terrarium. It does feel like they'll almost grow in anything. I've grown these really well without even trying in terrariums. You can find the spineless variety listed online. However, what I find is when you plant that first pad, it will sprout its roots and lock in. Then over time, it will start to produce its second pad. And on that second pad is where you're going to get some irritating hairs. Now for bearded dragons, it doesn't matter, but it can be a nuisance for arms reaching into the terrarium. They do look incredible though, and they can even flower. With any of these plants, whether you buy them from in physical stores or online, be sure to wash these plants, roots and all, under running water and then repot in some fresh new soil, just in the case of potential pesticides used by suppliers. It can be worth setting these plants aside for a good while before putting them into the terrarium, as pesticides tend to break down over time. I found a great thread online in a Dart Frog forum about pesticides, so I'll link that down below. All of the plants mentioned in this video I've compiled into an Amazon list, also linked down below. But to find out what else you can feed your bearded dragon, you're going to want to watch this video right here.